Good evening. I am Amadin Ogbewe. Now, the UK has set in motion a new law that aims to reduce the number of dependents that immigrants, including Nigerians, can bring to the country as students, except in specific situations. There is a growing conversation about the crackdown on migration of persons to other countries as a result of overpopulation or as a bid to control population. Now, amongst these issues, the controversy has continued to grow about why Nigerians are really interested in leaving the country and finding greener pastures. Why do they have such intentions to continuously leave the country so they can perhaps continue their lives or become permanent residents and citizens? Tonight we'll be taking a look at this topic, at human capital flight and the Japa syndrome, as it's popularly called. I'll be joined by Japheth Ikuni. He's known as the travel doctor, and he will be doing some justice as to why emigration and the Japa syndrome is the way it is. All right, travel doctor. I can call you travel doctor, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right, welcome to the program. Welcome to Top Talk.
Thank you, bro.
All right, let's start with the basics. There's been a lot of talk recently, renewed talk actually, because there's always talk about human capital flights, what is called the Japa syndrome, and Nigerians moving out in droves. You're in the field, so I'd like to get your thoughts. Is it really as bad as people, or good from your perspective? Is it really that much as people seem to say it is?
Yeah, Japa is definitely like a big thing. You know, there are a lot of people. Migration has always been there. Like even in the Bible, right, back in so many centuries ago, Jesus, moved from places to places, right? So it has always been a thing of the old, and just like we Nigerians, we and Africans, we are very good with making a lot of noise, and and we're very good with using social media. So with the aid of social media, there's more noise on Japa and migration, but still, when I look at the numbers, right, Africans or Nigerians moving across to these countries like UK, US, and Canada, they're of little number. Like for example, when I first got to Canada 6-7 years ago, I was the only black person in my school, right, and we have a class of over 200 people. You see over 119 Indians, right, and a few people from Africa and a few people from Asia. You go to some other schools as well that are dominated by Chinese, right? So, so Japa is a big deal, but when we talk about Japa in the African side of the thing, I feel like it's not yet a big deal. We are still coming up in migration.
That's interesting because a lot of people feel we're overdoing it already, but for you to say it's really not, that. As others in other climes.
Yeah.
Well, what I really like to know now is is it as it currently is? Do you think in any way it's more now than at any point in the history of the country? I ask because I know around I think 1999 or is it 2003? But there was a period where a number of Nigerians were emigrating, and there was also a period where we saw massive returns.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe that was one of the things that, will I say, birthed or rebirthed the entertainment scene, where we saw some key Nigerian artists coming back and then,
like Tiwa Savage,
yes,
Banky W,
the band and so on, Emma Abaga.
Yeah.
So, for the other part now, the massive leaving. Is this anything new in Nigeria? Because people make it seem like it's at an all-time high all of a sudden.
Yeah, I would agree when you say it's all-time high in Nigeria and Africa, and especially in Nigeria, is due to some certain factors, right? Which we'll talk about, which is mainly contributed by the standard of living. Back then, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, you could just be making something little, right? But that little that you're making is enough for you to actually eat well, fly you to Lagos, fly you back to Abuja, you rent a standard house, you can afford everything, get married, and even take care of your kids, right? With 100,000 naira salary or 150,000 naira salary, back then. But right now, in Nigeria, I feel like, I see some people making even like 400,000 naira, and, I myself be like, okay, how do these people survive, right? Because, the standard of living, the inflation right now in Nigeria is just so high. It's really crazy, right? And, it's tougher for people to actually like survive. So some of these factors have actually like contributed, because the inflation keep on going high. There's mad devaluation of the currency, right? Which means that, like, okay, if you get paid today, you have 100,000 naira today or 20,000 naira today, you can barely do anything, right? Imagine the cost of bread. The bread I used to buy 200 naira 5 years ago is now like 1,000 naira, right? And you look at your salary, okay, within those 5 years, where has your salary gone? Probably like you're making 100,000 naira 5 years ago, it's now going up to like 120, 130, So these factors, right, which majorly, I would say that is government controlled, right? Because the government are supposed to actually like do everything in their part to ensure that, like, okay, they are stabilizing the economy, the standard of living is well stable, and people could actually like afford everything, has actually like really contributed, not also talk about insecurity, So if people go back, if people go like to UK or US, and they spend thousands of dollars, right? And they think about like, okay, if I come back to Nigeria, what am I going to be doing? How much am I going to be making, right? And they'll be like, you know what? No, it's not worth it. So I feel like the major factor is the economic factors, right? Not just getting just good jobs. The standard of living, the inflation, the devaluation of currency has really, really affected a lot of people. And not talk about the security as well, has made a lot of people actually change their mind and be like, you know what? I'm not going back. I'm just going to stay over.
That's interesting. It reminds me of something I saw recently. A Nigerian cook or chef, he put out his prices, and it was in dollars.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying, why is it in dollars?
Dollars,
and, and I saw a very simple explanation that made sense. They said, if he puts it in naira, he would have to continually update it.
Exactly.
But with dollars, it's a bit more stable, and so on. So, but that aside, do you think people would still emigrate even without these issues? Let's assume Nigeria is, El Dorado now. Do you still see people going out or trying to find other homes?
So migration would always be a thing, right? As I mentioned, even Jesus moved, in the Bible. So people will still move, right, if the economy is stable, but it won't be as much as this, because right now everybody want to move, and most of the people that are moving because they are desperate, right? Initially, migration was the thing of like, okay, I need to move, I need to actually like get exposure, right, and come back. Like for me, sometimes I want to visit other African countries because I want to learn about their culture, I want to learn about their economy, I want to see where I could actually like invest in those countries, right? I want to stay there a while and get to know how things function in those countries. So people would definitely still move, if things get stable, but definitely it wouldn't be at this rate, because right now everybody want to move. People take loan and they say, okay, I just want to move, I just want to live here and get a better life for myself. But definitely, like if things get better, the numbers are going to drop.
All right. But I'd like to know, what effect do you think this has, perhaps in the country here? I think one interesting thing about the Japa syndrome or human capital flight is that it actually seems like it is the most privileged in the country that get to go. Because I think people would assume that, a person who would be seeking, take for instance, the statistic is that about 120 or 130 million Nigerians are living in multidimensional poverty.
Okay,
So, someone trying to use the principles of equity will say these 120 million, these are people that should be going. They need better lives. But what's funny is the 1% of people who are already very rich, who live above $1 a day and can afford to actually spend, those are the ones living. So what effect does this really have on the country?
Just as the saying goes, the rich always want to get richer, right? Those that have experienced good sense of life, the riches, they want to be in a better place, in a more stable place, right? They want to provide good environment for their kids, and that's why you see that, like, okay, it's not really the majority of the people living, it's not really those people that actually live in poverty, Also, the major factor that, like, okay, migration costs a lot of money, regardless of the route that you want to go with, right? You have to actually spend a lot of money, to migrate. So Sorry, sorry, I lost my thoughts.
Yeah,
Go back with the question again, sorry.
yeah, I just mean what effects it has, with the most privileged have been the ones that are actually leaving the country, perhaps the most skilled, the ones who have the most going for them.
Yeah, what effect it has in the country?
Yes.
Yeah, so as we call it, it's brain drainage, right? You are draining the best people, right, out of the economy and out of the nation. For example, let's say you have Mr. Mike, who's running a big company in Nigeria and is employing 100 people. If he leaves, the probability of him closing that company and moving over to like a different country and economy, is 90 to like 100%. So it means that like there will be the poverty rate is going to go up, the unemployment rate is going to go up, because this smart mind, these people with the capital, with the funding, that would actually create more opportunities for other people, right, that do not have this opportunity or do not have this finance. They're all migrating to a different country and making those countries better, creating those opportunities in those countries. So it has a very big effect in the economy. It also has a very big effect in terms of like, the quality of skills that I see in the job market. Because for example now, I have heard a lot of banks, complain to me and say, they have lost key members of their staff, they have lost a lot of people in the IT sector, right? Because the variation is too much, right? For example, a software developer working in Access Bank, if he's well paid, could be making like $2,000, a month. And at the same role, with that level of experience and skills, he could be making as high as $10,000, in US, and he can easily migrate. So people look at it and be like, okay, you know what, let's migrate. And when they migrate, they don't just migrate alone. They migrate with their friends, with their team, So it's a lot of drain. It's going to affect the economy. It's also going to affect the job market in regards that people won't really, employers won't really see quality people, with the top skills that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's interesting. So let's talk a little bit now about the law itself, the UK law. Apparently, there's a new law which is set to take effect in January 2024, which kind of limits students or persons coming as students into the country from bringing in their dependents. I think that's what they call them, their family, so to speak, except in specific circumstances. This came about as a result of, saying that they want to control their population and so on and so forth. I'd like to get your thoughts about this law. What is the implication of it?
Yeah, so it's not a good one, right? Because you cannot stop family reunion. People want to be with their family, right? I feel like that's not the best way to actually handle this. I know last year they had over 700,000 people that migrated over to UK. But when you look at the numbers, out of those 700,000 people that migrated to UK, we had only 130,000 people that migrated through the dependent route, right? So you still have over 70% of the people that migrated coming through different route. So why are you tackling this particular route to bring down the numbers? You are looking at bringing down the numbers from 700,000 to 100,000, and you cut off the route that has just 139,000 people, So I feel like it's not a good one. Definitely, it's also going to affect their numbers in regards to like if you check the economic contribution in the UK, right? Just international students alone contributed over 92 billion pounds, 92 billion pounds to the UK economy last year.
£92 billion or naira?
No, pounds.
Wow.
92 billion pounds to the UK economy last year. Because the international fees is actually like very high. On average, people pay £15,000, £18,000 on average, right? And it doesn't just end there. They rent a house. Probably the house rent will be like £8,000 in a year. If you have a family, it goes as much as like maybe 10 to 12,000 pounds, depending on the city that you're living in. If you're living in London or Manchester, you pay higher. So these people are also there paying taxes. There are employers there, and entrepreneurs that are also like, they have their product and services. And these people coming into the country, they are using these services and products, buying them, right, and making the economy boom, right? Because for economy to boom, you need people, and you don't just need people, you need people with the commanding power, people that can actually buy those products and services. And that's one thing that they don't get. International students are very, they are a rich class set of people, right? Anybody migrating over to the UK or US or to Canada, on average, is worth to do. And it's not just even bringing his finances, it's also bringing his skills, because especially like for Nigeria, most of the people migrating, they're already experienced, they already have one or two skills from here and there, and they have a lot to contribute to the economy. So it's going to actually like really affect the UK economy, one, and secondly, they're also going to lose quality people, you know. So definitely like it's not a good thing, and I see trouble coming.
And you're going to lose customers too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to lose customers in the UK market. It's a sad thing, but I know it will still be revised. And as well, apart from the Nigerian market or the African market, we still operate like an Indian market and other markets. So probably like it will just make us focus more on other countries that do not really go with dependence. Like China, for example, and India, they don't really go to like to UK, US, or Canada with a lot of dependents because they migrate at a very early age. Unlike Nigerians, they migrate at a later age. They want to get stable, get a job, make enough money. But the difference, like in China and India, you know, you can be 19, 20, just fresh out of school. You have access to loans, right? Because there are a lot of banks, there are a lot of government institutions that are supporting people to go to school. You get access to loan, you go to school. So you don't have to like say, oh, you need to work, get stable, get married before you think about going to school. So so that is different between Nigeria and the other countries.
All right, let's talk about, I would like to call it the elephant in the room. His name is MD Tiamiyu. I don't know if you've heard about him in this whole saga. But basically, he's a YouTuber, a Nigerian YouTuber who's in the UK, who basically said he was very. If you've seen the interview, he was quite giddy, saying that they just come for a better life. They don't care about the education. They don't care about what they came here to get. They just want a better life, and the student route is just a means to an end. The goal is just to emigrate and become, someone who's permanent there, that they don't care. And he got a lot of backlash, so much so that I believe he has had to put out apologies saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
He got a lot of threats.
Yes, and then another thing that came through this was that a lot of persons said he's demarketing Nigerians, he's making Nigerians look bad and so on. Well, just to put it clearly, you're an expert in the field. So, was he right?
No, he was 100% wrong.
How so?
So, when you are looking at things, right, if you're looking at migration, over to the UK, all right, you have to look at, who stands to benefit more, right, on the long run. Over 60% of Nigerians that move over to UK, they don't settle there. Most of them move back to like Nigeria, some move to US, a lot of them move to Canada within 2-3 years.
You're talking about the Nigerians that...
Nigerians that move over to like UK, So it means that like a lot of Nigerians are going there, get the quality education that they need to get, right? Upgrade their skills and knowledge and move over with their lives. So because of like that statistics, that puts him 100% wrong, right? And you look at what the UK government and the economy stands to gain from Nigerians, from this migration, they stand to gain a lot, right? A family of 4 migrating could be paying as much as 2 to 3 million naira just for visa charges.
So what really is the fuss about? Do you think? I mean, they're making it look as though the dependables, because they don't have an issue per se with the students. They have an issue with the people they are bringing. So I'm wondering, are these persons not contributing? Are they just? What's the issue?
So I feel like it's more about like short-sightedness, right? They're not really looking at the big picture, right? They're looking at it like, okay, if this person coming with the family, with the kids, there's going to be a lot of pressure in the healthcare sector, and the demand for housing is also going to go higher. So they're looking more at that. I know maybe on the short run, there's a lot of pressure, but on the long run, especially like if these people decide to settle, the government and the people will stand to even gain more, right? There are a lot of Nigerians that have migrated over to the UK. They go there, they build a billion-dollar company. Even like, for example, in Canada, there's this man that migrated from Iran over to Canada, and he built a $4 billion company there. Even the former owner of Twitter, he migrated to US as well. You know what Twitter is worth today. And so much on. Even Philippe Emeagwali in US as well. He migrated from Nigeria over to US. And today he's working with a lot of universities in US and the US government. And it's contributing massively to the IT sector, right? So the stand, I always say, when it comes to immigration, because you are not just having people move, you're having people of class, move down to the economy. Some people move over with their business, a lot of people move over with their skills, and when you also check like the tech sector in UK and different countries, and most of like these startups, you see that a lot of these people actually building the startups are immigrants. So I always say immigration is always a big win for any nation, and UK definitely has something big to lose. And the Mr. MD, the guy was 100% wrong with what he said.
That's interesting. But that aside, aren't there like, or wouldn't there be a percentage of people who are trying to exploit things thereabout? And another thing, is it even possible for someone to, exploit the situation in the terms of, all these benefits that would ideally accrue to the UK or whatever government that they sidestep it? Is that something that is even possible?
So, I mean, there'll be a few people that think they want to exploit this situation, right? They want to exploit the policies on the ground. But at the end of the day, I 100% feel that UK government, have more to benefit. For example, there's shortage in labor in some skills, right? For example, there's a work policy for healthcare workers because there's shortage in labor in the healthcare stream, and UK government want people to actually, come in from different countries, even from Nigeria, and support the labor force. So a lot of these Nigerians that even moving with their dependents, while they're schooling, their dependents are working in the healthcare sector, supporting the government, right? And in some countries, in some provinces, even in Canada and US, they pay people money to actually like move out from different countries, to come into their country and fill in those spaces. But in the UK, those spaces that they really need people, and it's not like a matter of joke, they need people for this particular labor for this force or for this particular skills. They are getting people pay money to actually migrate over and come in, fill in this space for free. So again, if anybody look at it that you are trying to exploit this situation, on the long run, the UK government always stand to actually even benefit more, because if they have not really evaluated all of this policy wouldn't even be here in the first place.
All right, that's fair enough. In the course of this whole controversy, I keep forgetting how to pronounce his name. Tiamiyu was one of those interviewed, but then there was someone else, I can't quite recall his name. Well, he's a Nigerian. He's a British citizen.
Yeah.
He became a British citizen because his parents moved over. And
is it a Nigerian doctor?
Yes, the doctor.
Yeah.
And he made a statement about, him or them, people like him, trying to take what they've got, taking it back to the country, to help the country, So he says, for instance, he's in the health sector. He can, go back home and say, these are some of the things that are not working well, and so on and so forth. And we've also seen there's massive FDI, is that, no, not FDI, pardon me, remittances coming in. So those people who don't even take their dependables abroad, they keep sending stuff to their dependables in Nigeria. So I wonder, is Nigeria, or does Nigeria also stand to benefit? Is that something that can happen? Because on the short run, like you said, it affects the economy, the best minds are leaving and all that. Well, is there any way that the country makes, something good out of all of this?
I think the best thing the Nigerian government could do to actually benefit from all of this, right? Because you need to think about like the long run, not just short-term benefits, right? It's actually like, build the economy, make the economy stable, right? And make the standard of living, to be in a very good place that anybody could actually like, afford the basic things of life, right? There's electricity, there's security, there's water, and there's good road, and people could actually like afford, the basic things of life. That's just the best thing that the government could actually like do. And people would look at it and, after staying there for a while, like in UK, US, and they would decide, they'll say, okay, I want to go back to Nigeria. I want to contribute to my economy to make my country better. A lot of people want to go back, but when they think about like the issues of insecurity, they'll decide, oh, I can't. I just want to go back. So the thing is like, regardless of these issues happening now, it's a short-term issue. There are a lot of countries that are looking for people, to fill in the workforce, right? So UK is not the only country. UK is even very small when you talk about like migration. US is there. US is still taking millions of people, right? Like last year, we had over 500,000 Indians move out to US, through the international study route. Canada is also there as well. Canada is taking students with their dependents. So if the Nigerian government think that, okay, this is a big win for them, no, it's not a big win. The only thing that could actually be a big win is like if they build the economy, right, and and they stabilize the standard of living, then people will definitely want to come back. They want to come back. They want to invest in the economy, right? They want to help the government, support the government to actually make the lives of people better. That is what they should be looking at to be a big win for all of us.
That's fair enough. That's your advice on what they should be doing.
Yeah.
But I'll just let you know what they are doing at the moment, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Particularly, there is a bill that has passed second reading in the House that seeks to keep doctors trained in Nigeria here for about 5 years before they're allowed to even consider the prospects of leaving. What do you think about that? Is it a great idea, or is it in the wrong direction?
Yeah, definitely that's in the wrong direction. You can't force people to actually work for you, right? At the end of the day, you just have a lot of people in the healthcare sector, actively working, but they're not working with their mind. And when people are working out of hate and spite, what happens? There'll be a lot of errors. There's going to be a lot of problem. So definitely, like the Nigerian Medical Association, anyway, is against that bill. All the doctors are against that bill. So I would advise them not to go ahead with it, because that is not the solution. The solution is like, you need to actually work on the economy. You need to work on the payroll. You need to make sure that the labor force as well, the labor union is working. Every day I keep on asking, what is the function of the labor union in Nigeria? The government come today and say, okay, this is the policy, this is it, this is the minimum wage, right? These are the benefits that staffs and workers are supposed to be getting, But what is the labor union doing to make sure that employers, right, are implementing these policies? So, I've been in Nigeria for a while, even before I traveled, and I've never seen the labor union any day, come to any organization and say, okay, they're doing inspections, they're interviewing workers, they're trying to support Nigerian workers. So I feel like the labor union really needs to step up, for everybody, for all the workers association, to make Nigeria better as well.
All right, that's fair enough. So I'd like to get your thoughts now about Africa to Africa migration, if such exists, and what that means. During the Sudan crisis, when I say Sudan crisis, that could really mean anything. So let me be specific. Recently, when some Nigerians were stranded as war was about to break out, other Nigerians here were saying, how did you end up there? What are you doing there? Is Nigeria that bad? So I'm just wondering, what's it like from Africa to Africa? Why would someone leave one African country to another?
Basically, that's not really my market, but what I have to say is that there are opportunities everywhere, right? Some people could decide to actually migrate over to this country, because they see some specific opportunities that people do not see, right, in those countries. Like, for example, there are some people that in Nigeria, they see a lot of opportunities and potentials in Nigeria, and they can't leave because of the kind of revenue they are generating or their company is generating from Nigeria. They can't make such money or revenue elsewhere. So definitely there are a lot of people. Students going over to Ghana for sure, Benin Republic for undergrad programs, and also one of the reasons for that is because of the admissions to government schools in Nigeria and the good schools is actually really, really competitive because of the population, right? So at the end of the day, some people tend to actually move over to different countries to study, and also when you look at the standard of studying, the standard of education in Ghana and some of these African countries, even in South Africa, some of the universities in South Africa is one of the highest ranked universities in the world, right? So those are attractions that actually tempt people to say, okay, I want to go over to South Africa to study. Some people also just move over for migration purposes, or they move over with their family, right? Probably you have your parents working in a gold mine in Sudan, and you move over with your parents and you start studying in Sudan. So those are one of the factors that actually lead to that. But yeah, definitely it's a thing, but it's not of a big thing compared to moving over to Canada, US, or Europe.
All right, that's fair enough. So just to round up now, I'd just like to get your general advice, to everyone involved, really. I think you've already spoken to the government.
Yeah.
Perhaps your advice to the UK government and, foreign, other countries, how do you think they should perceive immigration from Nigerians or whoever?
One thing for sure is that Nigerians have brilliant minds. Wherever Nigerians go, they're, apart from being brilliant, they're very industrious and very creative. Wherever Nigerians go, they create things not just for themselves but also for the people, right? And one of the best set of people that you could ever find in any set of place is Nigerians. So I would advise them always be receptive to Nigerians. The more Nigerians you have in your economy, I believe the better things will be for you because of like our level of smartness, streetwise, our level of creativity, and we are very, very industrious. You see a Nigerian working 16, 17 hours, whether they're paying him overtime or not, you just want to put in the effort, want to put in the time. And when you see other people from other regions, they work 6, 7 hours, they'll be like, oh, they're done. They can't even put in 1 hour of overtime, right? But because of like our nature, we are actually like born that way. We're very, very hardworking. We can go on and on just to make sure that we create that difference.
Right, Travel Doctor, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so
It's
much.
been a
I
pleasure.
appreciate it.